What, Jarvis?
Welcome to Old School, New School. I'll be old school in this.
New school? No, you can't be old school, brother. I'm old school. You new school.
Oh,
I'm the one with the experience.
I'm new
Remember?
school.
That's right.
And this is old school.
I'm old school. Can't you tell?
This is old school. I guess I'm going to have to be new school. I got a little old school in me.
Yes, you do. That's the only reason I deal with you.
I got a little old school.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on what happened today?
I tell you, I just wonder why, like I said earlier, no white teachers were cheating. There were all people who were south of I-20.
Is that the only issue you had?
And the other issue that I have is that we have to understand that we are political prisoners in a foreign land. Although we think we have the rights and the ability to do what we see other people do, we really don't. So it's a travesty. But one main thing that stood out to me was they had one teacher who wanted to make a statement before she was sentenced, who took a plea. And she read it, and I'm just going to blame it on emotions. But as she read the statement, I realized she couldn't read either. And that's what you got. You got inferior instructors teaching inferior kids. What do you think?
Well, I think I agree with what you said, but I think it's also, it's more than one issue there. Having been a school teacher before, I've seen where the kids come in and they're not prepared and they have discipline problems. Many of them have been over-diagnosed with certain issues and they're medicated, so you have a bunch of behavior issues. I've been in a situation where kids they'd rather act out and be put out of the class versus reading. They're so embarrassed that they can't read that they'd rather be put out of class. And so when you have that coming from home, but yet you're supposed to teach all of these 25 to 30 kids that are at different levels of education. 2 or 3 may be very, very advanced. 5 or 10 in the middle, and then the others are below. That's very challenging.
Well, I would just like to add that for every action, there's a reaction. These are supposed to be grown, mature adults. And I can understand the pressure that they were under.
Absolutely.
All right. But no one wants to speak about George Bush's No Child Left Behind.
The George Bush thing, what do you mean?
Well, see, George Bush, when he was president, he came up with this grand idea, I call it a scheme, where it was going to be no child left behind.
And being from the old school, you probably know a thing or two about schemes, huh?
I've been involved in schemes. I've been schemed on, schemed at, and schemed up. I know about schemes, so and I know game when I see it.
You can identify one when you see it coming.
All right, so
what they call that thing with the 3 little cups? And the little...
Find it. Round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. Find the red card.
All right, we're good.
But anyway, he created this grand scheme to where no child was going to be left behind, but he did not give any funding to the school system.
Do you think that was a bad idea?
It didn't work. I mean, there's problems now between the city of Atlanta and the Atlanta School Board about funding that the city of Atlanta have not given to the school board. Or vice versa, I can't remember, I'm old. Right. But
you're old school.
I'm old school and I have to forget. But the problem is, Jarvis, is that we as a people have to understand that we have to do our own thing. You're never going to work your way up in this system. You're never going to benefit from this system. And you're always going to be a second-class citizen in this system. Now, how could it be in 1960, and from 60 to 65, I saw more black businesses than I see now? Doing segregation.
Is that on the individuals?
Well, you can't start a business and you can't transfer information if you're not educated. See, kids today think that being educated is a bad thing. But we had instructors who were dedicated. They would always tell us, you need to get education because you're going to need this one day. You got to be prepared. And they were correct.
Absolutely. I mean, I had this conversation earlier, and I had a chance to sit in on a class with my nephew. He was in the 3rd grade at the time. And what they were giving him was it was almost like stuff you should have learned in the 1st grade.
Absolutely.
And I just couldn't believe that this was 3rd grade work. And so I definitely think you have to go beyond what they're doing, because they're probably setting the standard so low so that the kids can pass.
Well, I can't call the author's name off the top of my head because, you know, just like I say that.
Old school.
Yeah, I'm old school and I forget some things. But the title of the book is The Miseducation of the Negro. I think
I read it.
It might have been Carter G. Woodson.
Yeah, Carter G.
Okay. The miseducation of the Negro. Once integration started, basically in the early 70s, there's been a sophisticated scheme ever since then to miseducate the Negro. Now, what they do is that they take our brightest gentlemen like you, okay, who is very, very well learned, extremely intelligent, and got extended degrees. And they'll take you and put you in a position, or either when you first came out of high school, and they send you to the University of Alabama, although you are from Tuscaloosa, but you got a degree from the University of Alabama.
Correct.
Okay, so how many people that went to high school with you, that graduated with you, Jarvis, that has a degree from the University of Alabama?
Not many.
All right then. So that means you are one of the best and the brightest.
Right.
That's the deal. Okay, we know that we don't want all of these people. We know that we can't take all these people, but we're going to cherry pick the best ones and make sure that we use them until we use them up. And then we'll come back and we'll pick some more. You know, I'm a old school Grambling College guy. Y'all call it HB, whatever y'all call it, but we called it black colleges in my day. We would have never thought twice of going to the University of Alabama or LSU, although you couldn't go, but we wanted to be with people who were like us. You lose something, man, when you dilute your soul with the mindset of an individual who really don't care anything about you.
So you think integration was a bad thing?
Worst thing that ever happened to the black man in America.
But don't you have to live with other people and get along with other people?
I did it all my life. I never came in contact with white people until I was 23 years old. The whole time I went to school, the whole time I went to college, it wasn't until I came to Atlanta and went to work that I started dealing with white people. And in my neighborhood, I saw black businessmen, I saw black educators, black professionals in the 50s and 60s, brother.
This sounds like a conversation that's going to deserve a part 2.
Yes, it does.
So we're going to close right there. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and check the websites. I'll put all the information on there at the end. This is Old School
Henry Davenport here.
And I'm New School J.M.Robertson. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you.